we read a book.
The book that she finally read is Red Queen by Victoria Aveyard.
I liked it. It was a weird sci-fi fantasy mashup.
I feel like that needs to happen more often.
Well, you're currently reading another sci-fi fantasy mashup.
I haven't gotten to the sci-fi part yet.
Dimensional hopping in my mind is sci-fi.
I guess, but it doesn't have any kind of magical device.
It, like, my only problem with Red Queen was it hinged on such a ridiculous, like, premise that I was just like, ugh.
What happens in this book is there are the Reds and the Silvers. The Silvers have magical powers, the Reds do not, and they just kind of live in a world that supports the Silvers. When you are a certain age, you get shipped off to the military. And you may come back, you may not, because this kingdom is in constant fights with their neighbors for no real good reason, but
just
yes.
happening, just doing it.
Yeah, so you get conscripted at a certain age, and off you go. She has some brothers who have been conscripted. She hasn't really heard from any of them. I think one died. And, yeah, she just totally dreads it. So anyways, one day she runs into this guy, and she just kind of, like, lays all her problems on him, and he's like, oh, okay, well, you feel better now, walks away. And then in the next few days, she gets summoned to the palace and offered a job, and she finds out that this guy who she kind of unloaded all her problems on is actually the prince.
The crown prince.
The one who gets to inherit the throne. So he's a silver, she's a red. So she's set to serve the silvers, and the silvers are going through
the queen's trial,
which means all the girls eligible to be married go and demonstrate how badass they are and how fearsome they are and how they kind of deserve to breed the next royal.
So they will marry Cal.
And I mean, there's tons of different powers. It's not just like your basic earth, water, fire. There's like metal bending. I'm sorry, I'm stuck in Avatar land.
Light bending.
People can read minds.
Grow plants, control water.
Kind of like anything you can think of, they can probably do it. Her main kind of adversary, turns out later, is Evangeline, and she can control metal. Now, Mare ends up kind of like serving these royals during this queen's trial, and she accidentally falls into the pit, which is surrounded by like a thing of lightning. She gets electrocuted, and people are about to be like, oh, she totally got roasted. Oh, sucks to be that red. When she gets up and she's like, I'm fine, guys.
She has control over electronic stuff, which is a big deal because Reds do not have powers.
And, so the king knows she's a red, and none of the actual courtiers know that she's a red because she didn't, like, bleed in front of them. So the king was just like, oh, she's totally the long-lost daughter of this general who died a while ago,
And let's engage her to our younger son to make up for the fact that she had to grow up red. So that's about when the book takes, like, a turn, because now it's not kind of like, oh, my life sucks. It's, oh, ha ha ha, gotta learn how to be in court, ha 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 ha, must not slip up. And this is when the book actually started getting interesting for me, because you actually started to learn more about society, and once you got over the fact that she's totally just got engaged to this prince, and that feels a little bit contrived, the book's a lot of fun.
The best part about this book is the things that feel contrived are really the things that she's gonna flip on its head, and that's kind of what makes it so freaking enjoyable.
I didn't know that this was the first book in a series.
Really?
Yeah.
I just assume that these days, and I'm generally right. If I got to the end of a book and I was like, oh, it's not part of a series, I'd be like, well, that was unexpected.
I liked it. I liked Cal. I liked Mare.
How'd you feel about the younger brother?
Trying to decide if I want to wade into spoiler territory or not. Because
Just do it.
Okay, so from this point on, we're on spoiler territory. Oh my god, this kid pissed me off to high hell. But it was amazing. Because he's the younger brother, and their mother can read minds and can kind of manipulate minds a little bit. And so It's a tag team. This mother-son tag team to get this throne. And so what they do is the mother is feeding information to this kid about exactly what Mare would like. And he ends up joining the rebellion with Mare, and he's so nice and perfect and na. And people are always telling her, oh, he's his mother's son. And like by the third time I started getting suspicious because I'm like, there's been nothing to show that he's actually his mother's son. Like nothing. So he's gonna like be a turncoat at like the worst possible moment.
And he drags it out.
Oh man, like he was intense. He just kept going. The scene where he shows his true hand. Right after that, when Cal and Mare are in prison and he goes in and he does his, villain speech, that's when he got all the points for me. Because they showed just how batshit insane he was. And I was just like, good play.
Turns out he was nuts
the entire time. And it's great because he's like, you were supposed to be mine. And Mare's just like, everything's always his.
It's just like,
I would have made you my Red Queen. Like my voice for him. I would have made you my Red Queen. And I'm just like, backing away from the crazy man.
Yeah, I loved that.
Yeah,
I really did. I don't know. I was kind of just like reading, and I wasn't really like trying to predict anything. I was just like, oh, look at that. And the part that made me really laugh was the fact that, okay, so there's these rebels who are trying to fight against the Silvers, and be like, Reds are worth it. Like we totally aren't useless. They aren't. But like like we need respect.
We're people too.
Yeah. There we go. Those were the words I was looking for, not coming out. So, Mara's been kind of working covertly with them, and they've kind of are like, hey, we're in the right spot to stage a coup. So the younger brother, his name is Prince Maven, is like, okay, so we're in the right spot to stage a coup. You just have to go up there and say to Cal, you gotta choose me or your father, and he's totally gonna choose you. I swear to God, he's gonna choose you.
I'm sitting there and I'm just like, this is YA logic. This is freaking YA logic. You're like, this is the most meta shit that I have seen in my life.
And she's like, you know what, Maven?
You're probably right.
I'm gonna go up there, and this whole revolution is gonna change everybody when he chooses me. And she goes up there and she's like, choose me. And he's like,
no.
No. And then she gets into her case, she's like, I don't know why the fuck I thought that an entire revolution was gonna hinge on him falling in love with me. This was the stupidest idea I have ever heard. I was just like, oh thank God.
It was so close to falling into that trap. That's what it, like, that and the Maven crazy scene took a 3 to a 4 for me. Just like, woohoo!
I just her thinking back on that, I was just like, yep.
This book was a lot of fun. Once you got past like the first kind of unbelievable thing, it was a lot of fun.
Like just her taking the YA logic and just being like, this is stupid.
I think we are in a renaissance period in YA. I think we've hit the point where people are becoming aware. And this is a great time to be alive.
It is. Just the beauty of it. We've lived so long under the regime of YA logic.
Of true love conquering all. Woo, love brings us together.
And not anymore.
So have you read Red Queen? What did you think?
Was it as wonderful for you as it was for us?
Tell us in the comments down below. And we will see you later.